In the headlines, bandits set Catholic seminarian ablaze in fresh Kaduna church attack. Suspected power cable vandal electrocuted in Niger State. Global prices of rice surges to 15-year high after India bans overseas exports. On the foreign scene, Sierra Leone thrown into darkness as Turkey operator cuts supply over unpaid debt. Hello there, good evening and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Kaduna, where a seminarian, Stephen Namangofe, was on Thursday night severely burned beyond recognition when bandits attacked and set ablaze a Catholic parish house, Kamantan, in Zango Kataf local government area of Kaduna State. Now, the parish in Kamantan is under the Catholic Diocese of Kafangchang in Jemaah local government area. News when gathered that the attackers stormed the parish house at about 8 p.m. and set it ablaze alongside a vehicle. Sources say the deceased seminarian, Stephen, died from the smoke inhaled during the blaze while trying to escape from the grasp of the attackers. Now, when contacted, the Kaduna State Police Command, acting Public Relations Officer ASP Mansur Al-Hassan confirmed the incident. Two others who were also in the building when the incident happened escaped the inferno and the kidnap attempt by the attackers. Now, the theatre commander of Operation Hadinkai, Major General Gold Chibuisi, has appealed to defense correspondents and media outfits across Nigeria to sustain the tempo of peace reporting through their reportage and editorials to help rid the menace of insurgency across northeast Nigeria. The appeal was made during a media parley held with journalists in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Here's Bitrus Kurusi with the details.
Over the years, the Nigerian Army has been conducting numerous operations in the northeast with the aim of dislodging terrorism and restoring peace. Beyond its military approach, much support is needed from the media to help build peace and counter-insurgency operations, which is why strong collaboration and synergy with the media is paramount.
Permit me to state that the kinetic approach in any asymmetric war constitutes just 20%. Your efforts in passing the right information, sensitizing the civil populace in support of our operations, as well as the peace efforts, constitute the non-kinetic approach to the counter-insurgency operations.
The Nigerian Army said it is still willing and courageous to end the long years conflict and allow peace in the region, adding that it will not relent in its offensive operations should non-actors fail to drop arms.
It is clear that many of the terrorists too are tired of fighting. They are hungry and wish to abandon the negative life they have lived in the bush all through these years without hope of having a better life. Yes, the military will not relent until the last member of the force is put out of action and a peaceful, stable and prosperous atmosphere restored to the theater area of operation.
It is expected that journalists will reflect the essence of peace and nation building in its reportage as the conflict draws to a conclusion in the northeast region. Bitrus Kurusi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
In Niger State, a suspected power cable vandal has reportedly died from electrocution at the premises of the Niger State Printing Press, Katiran Gwari area of Mina, the state capital. The staff of the agency said the lifeless body of the suspect was found with some of the vandalized armored cables stuck to his hands near the transformer that supplies power to the agency on Friday. Now, the staff of the agency say the suspect reportedly gained entrance into the premises of the agency through the back where the fence had collapsed, adding that he had already vandalized some of the armored cables when the power was restored in the night, killing him in the process. When contacted, the Niger State Police Command's Public Relations Officer DSP Wasiu Abiodun, confirmed the incident. The head of the legal department of the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, Niger Regional Office, Aminu Ibeto, also confirmed the development. Now, the murder of a 200-level student of nursing at the Federal University of Oye-Ekiti, Modupe Atanda, has thrown the institution and the state into mourning. The victim had earlier in the week been declared missing within the school premises, but was later found buried in a shallow grave in a bush on the campus ground after more than 24 hours of search. Now, the management of the institution has announced a temporary shutdown of the school to ensure law and order is maintained. Meanwhile, the police has debunked claims of missing body parts of Modupe, saying that some arrests have already been made on the matter. Global price of rice has reached a 15-year high in the month of August after top exporter India banned some overseas sales of the grain, the Food and Agriculture Organization said in a statement released on Friday. Now, while global food prices eased in August, those of rice rose by 9.8% compared to the previous month, reflecting trade disruptions in the aftermath of a ban on indica white rice exports by India, according to the FAO. Now, rice is a major world food staple, and prices on the international markets have soared in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and the impact of the El Niño weather phenomenon on production levels. India announced in July a ban on exports of non-basmati white rice, which accounts for around a quarter of its total output. Now, the Consumer Affairs and Food Ministry said at the time that the move would, quote, ensure adequate availability and allay the rise in the prices across the domestic market. Still talking agriculture. Now, if in Africa, if well harnessed, the potentials to solve the continent's food shortages and security challenges could easily be addressed. In this report, Yusuf Akogu examines how Africa can take advantage of cross-border cooperation to provide food for its growing population.
Agriculture in Nigeria was relegated to the background where crude oil was discovered in the late 50s. This negligence over the years has resulted in huge food insecurity being experienced in recent times. Experts are of the view that with the government's renewed commitment to security, Nigeria can maximize its potential in agriculture value chain through collaboration in Africa.
For a long time, Nigeria has been dependent on oil, and that has caused a lot of problems, inflation and the rest. So if Nigeria would develop its agricultural sector, I don't think that oil will even be relevant. You have the potential to develop to feed Africa and the rest of the world.
We have a purely natural environment. In other words, we're able to produce organic rice, and then we also, and the taste of our rice is fresh and it's nicer than what even comes from Europe. And right now in Ghana, people enjoy locally produced rice even more than what is brought from outside. And I believe that if we're able to produce it in quantity, it will easily displace what is brought from outside.
But how prepared is Nigeria for formal cross-border business deals using the instrument of Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreements that will propel industrialization along the agricultural value chain?
No country can be industrialized fully without source of raw materials. And most of the inputs and the requirements for producing finished goods are in agriculture. Sometimes directly and sometimes through multiple stages of processing. And therefore, this will directly impact industrial growth.
Analysts believe that leveraging agriculture value chain will boost trade volumes and values among countries in Africa. Yusuf Akogu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
Now, the state of the primary healthcare facility at Rigasa community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State has become a thing of concern for residents of the community. Now, this is due to the poor hygiene of the environment, a lack of healthcare facilities, and drugs for effective healthcare delivery at the primary healthcare level. Now, Trust TV's Bello Musa visited the health facility and spoke to some of the residents.
Rigasa is a community with a sizable population in Kaduna State. This primary health center is one of the few health facilities that people rely on for medical attention, but it is in a sorry state now due to unhygienic environment and poor facility. According to the resident, the condition of the health facilities has become a source of concern for families and pregnant women and children in the community now find it difficult to access medical attention. There is no decent restroom and a place to look after the sick. The hospital is no longer a health facility because it is in a dilapidated state. The hospital needs attention from the government. When in labor, the women in the community suffer as they only go to the general hospital in Rigasa or to private health facilities to deliver their babies, no matter how urgent the cases are. The residents are appealing to the local government to come to their aid as the facility is under the local government. We want the government to employ more workers, stock more prescriptions, drugs, and provide the necessary facilities. In fact, the hospital cannot cater for the needs of our population. We are calling on the government to come to our aid and renovate the hospital because it is the health facility that is close to us. This will enable us rush our children, pregnant women, and the aged to the facility in case of an emergency. We need more beds in the hospital and more qualified workers. Effort to reach the chairman of Igabi local government were futile. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Very sad developments there. Well, you're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead, we'll take a look at young fabricators in Kano and their breakthrough through innovation. More on this and many other stories coming up ahead after the break.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back to the news. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories at this hour. Bandits set Catholic seminarian ablaze in fresh Kaduna church attack. Suspected power cable vandal electrocuted in Niger State. Now, in other news, stakeholders in the country are raising serious concerns over the worsening case of malnutrition of children across Nigeria, especially as price of foods continue to skyrocket. Now, there are many who are calling on the government and stakeholders to act promptly to address child malnutrition in the country. Here is Hamid Oyegbade with the rest of the story.
The nutrition and food security in Nigeria have become issues of serious concern as the cost of living soars due to skyrocketing prices of food. According to the KEDA Harmonized 2023 data, 17.7 million people in Nigeria are hungry. The recent fuel subsidy removal compounded the situation. The children are the worst hit, as 23.5 million children in the country are said to be suffering from anemia, with 12 million stunted, while 3 million are ill due to malnutrition.
I remember during the antenatal days, they tell us whatever we eat now will add up to their brain development. And of course, any child that is not brainy ends up being dull, and then the future is, of course, a very bad one.
Because normally before, the money that we used to buy multiple things, you use it and buy one thing, and it's affecting us. It's affecting the poor masses. We can't feed.
Many of them now, they are not going to school because there is no money in the country. There is no job. So that is why it affected the children. Because when it affected the father and the mother, it will affect the children.
When the child is hungry, the child begins to think things that are negative. The child will think about positive. The child is not thinking about tomorrow.
The United Nations Children Fund is calling on the government to scale up the implementation of preventive actions and also to provide access to treatment of all forms of malnutrition.
So the nutrition situation in the country now is one that requires urgent attention, and we also need to focus and see how we can implement preventive actions to prevent malnutrition from even happening in the first place. But then when we are unable to prevent, and in order to respond to the children and the populations who are currently suffering from malnutrition, put in place treatment and facilitate access to treatment of all forms of malnutrition so that we can have a healthier population that can contribute to our economic growth.
Nigerians also want the government to address the malnutrition challenge so that the nation can produce healthy children with sound minds. Amit Oyegbade reporting for Trust TV.
To Kano State now, where a set of twins at the age of 12 have invented a cooking gas that uses petrol and water, while a 14-year-old has also invented a remote-controlled vehicle. Now, Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that an application that allows people to purchase food items directly from the farm has also been developed as part of a program. His report.
Supported by the Center for Information Technology and Development, these young boys had taken the initiative of inventing items that could be of great importance to the nation's economy if perfected.
In this country, two things are lacking. First thing that is lacking is that we have no venture capital. Venture capitals are people who come and listen to these ideas and then put money. Look, this idea is good. I am investing into it. And they put money and say, okay, if I go and develop this, I own 40% of what your business will become. It's just confidence. So we have no that. But we also don't have interaction between innovators and media.
Hassan and Usaini invented a cooking gas that uses both petrol and water to function, while Muazzam Ibrahim invented a remote-control ambulance vehicle. Other inventions by these young boys include CCTV camera, a mobile application that allows farmers to sell their farm produce directly from farm, among others.
So the essence of the application is for farmers to sell their product directly from their farm. Not just individual people or users can just open the application and see all the products available in someone's farm.
According to CITED, the initiative was supported to give these young ones the opportunity to prove themselves into the world of science and technology.
There's nothing I cherish like seeing young people coming up with ideas that people can appreciate. This is what we need in this country. And if we can develop these young minds, I always tell them, we have talent in this country. All we need is the correct environment. See, if you have not been brought out from where you are, would you ever think of doing all these things that you have done?
For these young scientists, if supported, there will be plenty of innovative ideas to be developed for the overall growth and development of the nation's economy. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kanu.
Let's turn our attention now to developments on the international scene. As Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown, has been hit by power cuts, its emergency minister said on Friday after Turkey's car power ship switched off electricity supply due to an unpaid debt totaling about $40 million. Minister Kanja Sese says the outstanding amount was, quote, accrued over time because of the government's subsidies, more than half the cost the ship charges per kilowatt in an hour. He said the government had to spend more on the subsidy because it charges consumers in the weak local Leone currency, one of the worst performing against the dollar, in which it pays the power provider. Now, a government commission has been set up to review consumer electricity tariffs, which could double. Now, Car Power Ship, one of the world's largest operators of floating power plants and parts of Karadeni's Energy Group, signed deals in 2018 and 2020 to provide electricity in Sierra Leone's state power utility, or rather to Sierra Leone's power state utility. A United Nations-backed court in the Central African Republic says it has charged ex-rebel leader Abdoulaye Hissène with crimes against humanity and war crimes. One of the poorest countries in the world, the Central African Republic, was plunged into a bloody sectarian conflict after Seleka rebels, a coalition of armed groups mainly composed of Muslims, removed President Francois Bozize early in 2013. The Special Criminal Court handles cases concerning war crimes and crimes against humanity dating back to 2003. Hissène, ex-military chief of the FPRC faction of the former Seleka rebellion, has been held in detention after he was arrested on Monday, arrested back in 2022. He announced his departure from the armed group during reconciliation talks initiated by President Faustin Archange Touadera. The court says it had charged Hissène with, quote, several crimes against humanity and war crimes committed on the territory of the Central African Republic in 2017 in his capacity as leader of the rebellion. In sports, Liverpool defender Virgil van Dijk has been charged by the English Football Association for his reaction to being sent off during his side's 2-1 victory at Newcastle on Sunday. Now, the Liverpool captain was showed a red card by referee John Brooks for a foul on Newcastle forward Alexander Isak for what was deemed by the official to be a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. Van Dijk has protested the decision and remained on the pitch while the incident was reviewed by the VAR team. But once the red card was confirmed and upheld by VAR, Van Dijk reacted angrily to the decision and was seen to verbally complain to the fourth official, Stuart Atwell, as he headed towards the Players' Tunnel at St. James's Park. Now, the FA confirmed Tuesday that Virgil van Dijk was found to have been using abusive and/or insulting language or displayed a failure to leave the field after being sent off. Now, the Netherlands international could potentially have a game added to his automatic one-match suspension for the red card. Now, agent fees for international transfers in 2023 are nearing $1 billion, according to football's world governing body FIFA. In its international transfer snapshot collated after the transfer window in all the major European leagues closed, FIFA says the overall spending on deals where players switch countries between the 1st of June and 1st of September was $7.36 billion in the men's game, up by 47.2% on last year. Now, it was $3 million in the women's game, an increase of 140%, while some of the detail, especially around the growth in spending of the Asian Football Confederation, could have been predicted, even given the Saudi Pro League's increased recruitment drive. The amounts now being paid to agents is growing hugely, according to FIFA. FIFA further says that the total amount paid to agents during the recent transfer window was around $696 million, which corresponds to nearly 10% of total spending on transfer fees. This compares to 5.8% in 2013. FIFA added that despite over 3 months of 2023 still remaining, the total amount of service fees for club agents since the beginning of the year has already reached $865 million. This is the highest total ever recorded and 38.8% higher than the whole of 2022. Given the figures do not include transfers that take place within a single country, FIFA concedes the overall amount paid to agents is likely to be substantially higher, and FIFA's regulations around agents, which in part aims to curb excessive fees, come into force on October 1st later this year. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. You can join us later at 9 o'clock for today's bulletin. But for now, feel free to follow us across our social media platform to catch up with more content and visit trusttv.com for more news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time.